Signs of the Southland for Sunday, June 28th, 2026. It is another edition of your weekly dose of Georgia Tech numbers and words. My name is Akshay, and joining me, and again, from an extremely muggy, extremely sunny, oppressively hot Atlanta, Georgia, are my friends Jack Purdy and Jake Grant. Gentlemen, which of the like 40 million hex codes of gold in the last 20 years of Georgia Tech football history have been your favorite?
Uh, oh no! I just put two and two together on that. They're gonna change the hex code.
Yep.
I'm finding this out in
Yeah,
real time because I didn't even think about that. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
man. Yeah,
I had the
yeah.
old one memorized.
Yeah,
That's
it's
gonna.
I have. That's
Hmm.
why I'm asking.
I never
I
memorized it, but it is definitely the one that is currently the one for 2 more days.
I have both of
Dang.
them memorized. I have the most recent one, and then the one that was before it. Both of those memorized.
Ooh, I don't remember the one
All right.
before it,
All
but
right. See if you can get the current one down.
B3A369.
that's
Oh,
the
they
old
already
one or
That's
the
a
the
well. I
phased
mean,
out
it's
one.
not. It's the Adidas one,
there you go. Yep, they
and the
already
one before that is, for Buzz Gold is EEB211.
Yeah, because that's like super buzzy. It
gotcha.
says
Yeah.
mustardier, so I'm gonna guess that there's more red in it, so it's probably closer to an FF than a B3. So that let's go with like a C5
Do you
B6
actually have it up, Jack?
I
69.
have I have the official brand colors of Georgia Tech that you go to brand.godtech.edu/rlook/colors, and none of what y'all said has even come close, except for the
Well, I
B3
know the old
part.
one was B3A369. That
The
I am
current one,
110%
current
sure on.
listed one, which I think is still the current, which is still the Adidas one, is B39051.
No, this is new.
That's
I
wrong.
I
I
this
don't
That's
is
know.
new.
new for
That's different.
sure. These are both
I
that and the Buzz Gold
Jack,
are new.
I've hard coded that hex code into
Buzzcode,
many
the
websites
Buzz,
and
y'all,
Excels and things.
y'all
Yeah.
said the Buzz one wrong as well. That has it listed as EAAA00.
These two are
That's
new.
on Akshay.
I
I say nothing about Buzz Gold. I
no,
don't own Buzz Gold.
I'm certain that both of these have been updated extremely recently
No, I think this is
because
there. It is because there's gradients on here that weren't on here before when I had
Hmm.
last looked 3 days ago. So there you go.
I feel
Interesting. Interesting.
today I feel B3A369. That's what I'm saying. But on July 1st, I will be feeling B39051. I think that's the way to put it. The Under Armour era, as if you can't tell from our discussion, the Under Armour era officially begins on July 1st, excuse me. And as you may have guessed, the shade of Tech Gold that is coming alongside it is also changing. There is some merch that is available at the Barnes& and Noble on Fifth Street right now ahead of the July 1st start date for the contract. I'll say, based on what I know from the wider world of sports, there is some precedent for wearing new uniforms in the last month of a season, but letting the new apparel provider take over like a week ahead of time, or in some fits and spurts, is interesting. I don't think I have heard of this
I'll bet the merch
previously.
was just there. They're like, why would we wait to
Yeah.
sell it when we can just start selling it? Like that's just lost revenue at that
Yeah.
point, probably for them.
Yeah. No news is bad news. All publicity is good whatever platitude I'm butchering, that, you
Yeah.
know. This is great podcasting, by the way. Just
This is a great
great stuff from
podcasting.
me.
Jack, you went to the bookstore and experienced the new merchandise for yourself. Give
Yeah.
us your first person takes here.
It's because I saw it all on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like we all had seen when they made the announcement the day before. It's like, hey, this is gonna be here. Come see it. They put some photos up with the hats and shirts and whatnot. And I didn't want to judge it off of that because it's by phone. Like that's not for real. But you walk into the Barnes and Noble and you can immediately tell it is way different. It feels way different. I stare at these colors all the time, so like it probably hits me way harder than even the average tech grad. But it the part that got me was that the metallic shine that we had with Adidas, that like it was much more close to the Rex Gold more than anything. It felt like was not there. This was it had you put a few drops of mustard on it, and you probably got the shade of what it is now. Now it is still for all intents and purposes gold. Like it does not look like yellow. Like it is not yellow. Let's be clear about that. This is a minor difference in the grand scheme of things, and it just adds to the real tradition we have of not having a continuous gold for any long stretch of time ever, because it's a hard color to make and each brand has a different way of making it and whatnot. So if I'm not mistaken, this is Notre Dame's gold that they get as well, who Under Armour also services. So and from a cost cutting standpoint, seems like it makes a lot of sense to just duplicate what you already got and just slap another logo on it.
To be fair, like all of these, all the apparel providers just have the colors in like a catalog,
Basically,
and you
yeah.
just kind of have to pick what's closest. Although it is a little frustrating, as this podcast has previously described in full detail, to go all of it, like to do all this work with consultants in 2018 to ahead of or with alongside that Adidas contract to
Mm-hmm.
settle on one shade of gold
Yep.
with Adidas, only to not have the school own the trademark to the color and then
Yeah.
have to change it when the new provider comes in. This happened a while ago when Michigan switched from Nike to Adidas, and then they ended up switching back to Nike because the fans complained so much about the color of maize, specifically maize,
Mm-hmm.
being wrong, and then that Nike had the right one. So it
Yeah.
is such an avoidable. I mean, again, sins of a previous athletic director administration 2 or 3 ago now, but like still avoidable own goal for sure.
I was going to say, might one call that an own goal, Mr. Akshay. But yeah, no, I don't know how you walk away from any of those deals not owning the right to continue using the color that you settle on. It's very silly to me to wind up in the same thing 8 years later. But Jack, in terms of quality, like logo types, like that's what I care more about this
Um.
from this. Because if I want something with a good gold
Yeah.
shade on it, like at the end of the
Here's
day, it might change again. It might wear out funny too. That's my thing too. Like
that's true. Yeah.
it could lighten up when you put it through the wash a couple of
That's a good
times.
point. It totally could.
You
It
know?
totally could. If it does, it'll get closer to what I'm considering the accurate gold.
Because currently some of that gold does wash out and looks kind of like
Yeah.
after a wash.
The stuff what popped out to me is because they still had the previous gold in the store as well with all the other pre-existing merch that hadn't gotten sold yet. And if you put the side by side together, like you could visually tell the difference there.
Okay.
And a full shirt in that in the Under Armour version does not look as visually appealing as the old one. That's for sure. That was the most obvious. Like, okay, I like this. I don't dislike the color. Let me be clear. It's gold. Like that's our color. But it felt a lot stronger when it was in an accent situation or just inside a block letter or something like that on a white shirt instead of going with a full-fledged, like, here is this just mustard thrown up against a sheet and have at it. Even on the hats, like even the just solid gold hats were like it felt like a lot compared to how toned down's not a great way to say it, but it just felt less natural to me. That's just where it's at. Like it didn't feel like an easygoing gold like the old one was that had, but also like there's no metallic sheen to it. Like part of the old gold was there. You can't replicate like metallic on a piece of clothing unless you have the football numbers basically that were like intentionally shiny, but like that's hard to like replicate. But we kind of got kind of close and it felt right. And this is like, there's just no metallicness anywhere in there, which is an inherent aspect of gold, the literal element on the periodic table.
It just doesn't have soul. It just doesn't have as much soul as that Adidas gold. We're going to miss it. It's going to be very funny to see the athletics website and everything update over the next
that's a big part of this too, is like
weeks.
Everyone's logo sets on campus, they gotta change out those logo sets. Like at my job at the alumni association, like there are graphics people are gonna have to go in and like change it, just whenever they come up, change the color scheme on every logo, and that just becomes part of the workload for everyone. And that's just not my office. That's all the offices on campus that have deal with any kind of branding things they have to put on documentation and stuff like that. So yeah, that part will be interesting.
I'm so excited to have to do this again in 10 years. I'm
Maybe
really
less.
excited.
Maybe
We're going to be
less.
10
Who
years
knows?
older. We're going to be a lot more grays, and yet we're still going to be talking about yet another shade of gold. And it just never changes. It'll never end. Long live
Tradition. Tradition.
Tech Gold is dead. Long live Tech Gold. Anything else on the apparel at least, Jack? Since you were there.
Um, I mean, I watched. This is if you've been part of the discussion, this has been clear. But like this, it has rings of the 1980s shade. Um, so there's a lot of living alumni that and living fans of Tech that like this is the gold they grew up with and that they know and associate with Tech stronger than what we associate with, which lends at least some better credibility, at least in my head. This isn't like Tech's going rogue or anything like that. Like we've been here before. This will probably just go back and forth until literally until the sun swallows us whole. So uh it's not like this isn't a Tech gold from a historical standpoint. I wouldn't call it the Tech gold from a just what makes the most sense kind of thing, but it's still it's in the ballpark of possibilities that we have had uh as a school. So at least there's that. It's not completely out of left field.
So what you're saying is in 40 years we'll come back to B3A369.
I don't want to wait that long. I want it to come back July 2nd. That's my hope and
Oof.
dream. That will not come real.
I'm sure you can find some of the old Adidas merch at a warehouse sale near you at some point.
I mean, they did sell it all earlier this year, so
Can
we'll
can
we'll
I?
see.
Uh, this is gonna sound like a total plant, and I promise I would say this even if they were not our beloved sponsor institution. But I was much more excited about the Section 103 news this week, and I say not to jam us directly into the ad read, but like
Well,
if
I,
we're talking about tech gold, if we're talking about tech gold, and we're talking about nice things to wear, the Power T stuff that they put out this week,
it's
that
great.
is
I'll be
that
quiet.
is pretty good.
Nothing caught my. I didn't look too hard on like the shirt designs and whatnot in the Barnes and Noble, but nothing looked as good of the new stuff as Steven's stuff. The bookstores like didn't like climb a step in terms of a letter grade in terms of like, hey, this is really cool kind of thing you can go buy. Like that didn't exist yet.
Jack couldn't curve them up a letter grade. That sucks.
Yeah.
The
But this, I will say that the vintage Power T with the contrast collar, the white base with the
yeah.
contrast collar, that looks as
Hmm.
good as the Mississippi State one that we pointed out a couple
Yes,
weeks
yes.
ago.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I don't usually like go pretty hard and shouting out other schools' stuff on Section 103, even though it all looks great. I just don't buy Mississippi State stuff. But I was like, Lord, I've seen what you've done for them. Can you do the same for us? And
It's
here we are.
it's
So
it's the one place where it works, right? That
yeah.
color is so saturated.
Yeah.
Like that
Yep.
specific shade of gold is so
Yep.
saturated compared to the old one where the contrast really works.
Yeah.
Versus
There
the
you go.
old gold, even though this looks more like old gold in that sense of like the color old gold. But anyways, Section 103, they're doing great stuff. They've got three power T, block T, whatever kind of T you want to call the old T. They got them. Like Akshay mentioned, the contrast collar stripes, and then also state of Georgia background. I did see them post very recent that they're restocked up on that like Georgia state, well, state of Georgia background polo for Georgia Southern as well. So I guess people just really like the state background polos, and if that applies to our audience, they also have the classic GT on that for a polo as well. Go check them out, section103.com, code FTRS, 10% off, and then you get free shipping on orders over $100 every day. Gents, I saw another new product from them, or maybe it's not new, and I've just missed it in all my excitement
Is
about
it the
other things
sports
lately.
rope hats?
Yes, it is the sports rope hats. Jack, have you seen these?
I have. In fact, I was surveyed as to what these could say, and I went for like triple option, like really specific stuff, not just golf and tailgate, but these look like I would wear the golf hat that just says
All
golf.
right. So there's five, right? Not to take Jake's thunder here, but there are five. It's Team Mom, Saturdays, Go Sports, Golf, and Tailgate. And I think they all come in green and black, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just basing the oh, they don't.
Looks like
Oh,
there's
Um,
navy too for some of them.
oh yeah. The dress was actually white and gold. Anyway, um, yeah, so Go Sports in navy, Saturdays in green, and that's like a mastersy green, and a tech navy, tailgate in navy, golf in that green color, and then Team Mom in navy again. Um, And then they have right under it, there's there's a survey for what to do next. And here are your options if you would like to vote. Sports ball, sports, go team, football, basketball, baseball, and mahjong.
Mahjong's having a
Honestly,
comeback. Mahjong's having a comeback, man.
the ironic sports ball hat from somebody who's actually a ball knower, that's powerful stuff right there.
Does the world collapse in on itself if one of us wears a sports ball hat?
No, I
The
was just gonna
sheer
get you a Team
irony
Mom
just
one, Akshay.
I won't wear it. I won't wear it.
the sports ball one, you won't wear it.
I will not wear it.
I
Hmm.
The irony just collapses in on itself. It's a black hole forms. What a world.
This is a
Section
more
103.
interactive sponsor
Are
set
we
than
still in the ad read? I can't
usually
tell
get.
where the
Yeah.
episode starts and the ad read ends.
Section103.com on Instagram at Section 103 on all of your social media at Section 103. Use code FTRS for 10% off. You know where you can wear all this new glorious Power Team merch? At
I don't know.
the
I don't know what to do
renovated.
with myself. You've taken my transition away, you know? Where do we where?
We should go to the newly renovated or futurely renovated Bobby Dodd Stadium as new renderings have been approved after the $70 million renovation that was recently approved and has completed its design phase. This, as we've discussed previously, this is the first major renovation of Bobby Dodd Stadium in 23 years. And I believe that last renovation built the upper north deck. The stated goal here from the athletic department, if I read all of the paperwork here correctly, was to complete it within one off season of work. There have been a couple of adjustments to the original plan. So the original plan was going to put in a brand new video board and speaker system, obviously the new suites, which we'll talk about in a moment, um, and then replace all of the bleacher seating in the entire stadium, other than the student section, with chairbacks. That part of the plan has been scaled back. Only in I think it's like the four center sections of each side of the facility in the lower bowl will be converted to chairbacks, and they're not going to have an actual seat. It's going to be a flip chairback, seat back situation that's permanently screwed in to the chairbacks. There is honestly a pretty interesting read through the design phase and some of these design decisions on ramlinrec.com, walking through exactly why they decided to do this. Basically, the tread length of the seats is too small to justify putting in modern seats because it would either result in to put in modern seats, you'd have to, close down the entire stadium and renovate it. And also like tear down a bunch of more seats, or you'd have to tear out a bunch of seats to make even like larger seat backs fit. So this ended up being like the most effective optimal compromise. And honestly, like they look pretty decent. The final capacity of the stadium will be right around 50K. The original plan actually had it dipping down to 42K, which sucks. But this staying around 50K, the original pre-renovation, pre-fanning capacity was 55. So staying around 50K, net loss of 5K seats instead of net loss of 13K seats, not too bad. Before we go through the full list of renovations, Jack and Jake, anyone have thoughts?
I'm pretty pleased with staying at 50 or close to it. I think this feels like the first news and notes from this renovation that feels like something that actually applies to a regular season ticket holder type of
Yeah.
fan. I know that going all chair back obviously was that, but this is the only piece of this project that feels relevant to me. Right? It is, am I going to get booted to an upper deck somewhere or not? I guess my odds for that go down somewhat here. But a lot of these other pieces are very flashy. I hope they drive revenue, but sit pretty comfortably outside of my price range. So if I'd take the bench. I think I saw also that you're still going to have the ability to buy stinger seats, which I think is a nice middle ground, at least
Yeah.
for folks in my section generally. Those that have them really like them. So I think that's a nice compromise to not lose 8K of seats of the I don't know, like the people that fill the stadium and bring the energy, the notable difference. I don't think it's a coincidence that the stadium being full is the upper reaches of the upper deck finally filling in and having a nice atmosphere there. So sports as an accessible thing to build fandom is super important, and having 8,000 more seats to do that, I am very pleased about that.
Yeah, this goes a long way because it's the all these renovations primarily help the people that spend the most money with tech in terms of where they sit in the stadium, and be those frequent flyers of the stadium are the ones that sit in the area where we're going to get these screwed in chair back things. So you're making a renovation very much in particular for the folks that are there the most, and that are the loudest in the stadium. So that's really, really nice to see. I'm a big fan of the bleacher staying too. Like in my head, for whatever reason, it doesn't need to be this way, but like pro sports, you get chair backs. College sports, you get benches. Like it just fits.
Yeah.
That's not a perfect science. It doesn't have to be that way. That it isn't that way at some stadiums and whatnot. But it just feels right to have benches at a college football game because it's much more of a social thing than it is a full fledged like this is my seat at this game with my people, and then you leave. Like it's way more communal for me.
And it seems like it would save them money too. So like
Yeah, seriously. Like yeah,
you get
having
the
a
whole
bunch of
money episode and like that's
yeah,
not something that you
no,
can just
yeah.
thumb your nose at,
You find
right?
a way to redo the a part of the stadium that could use a facelift. You find a way to get more money out of the stadium, in particular with all these sweet stuff that we're going to talk about here, and then you just make life a little bit more comfortable for the people that most frequently have season tickets at the lower bowl of the stadium. So like it's a nice win for everybody without destroying the finances or putting way too much into the stadium that you can't get out of it. So it's just really nice to see a very sophisticated, not trying for too much stadium renovation in this moment in sports stadium history where the current best case scenario for a rich owner is tear down something that we built 25 years ago and just build another one. Like this is
Yep.
a nice way to preserve and not do too much with a very historic stadium.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I quote the exact reasoning for the chairbacks, as I really butchered it the first time around. This is directly from ramblinrec.com. Quote, as the project evolved and analysis completed through the course of the design process, the architect and construction manager identified that some of the originally proposed elements, specifically chairback seating throughout the stadium, are either one, functionally unfeasible within the existing structure of the stadium, or two, could only be accomplished through a substantial increase to the project budget, likely more than doubling the original financial investment, end quote. So the tread depth stuff is all true. And so here's the other part of the process here. Quote, therefore, to install flip-up chairback seating throughout Bobby Dodd Stadium, there were only two options. One, eliminate every other row of the stadium, which would have drastically reduced capacity, or two, demolish and reconstruct significant portions of the stadium, which would be extremely costly and likely not to be able to be completed in a single offseason, end quote. So
And
again, all considered.
no one would have wanted that either. Like I feel like that's a deal breaker for a lot of fans if you end up doing that. And then you're like, hey, we're gonna go play in Mercedes for a season. No one's gonna want that, or go play somewhere like that. Yeah, that was a non-starter.
Yeah. I will say the seatbacks look nice. They did some actual testing at the spring game. So like the seatbacks look nice. They look like, if you've ever worked in an office before, they look like Herman Miller chairs that you can buy in bulk from like an office supply store. So that's pretty cool. I'm sure Georgia Tech fans are very used to those. So might sit a little similar. So see about that. The other parts of the renovation that I did not mention, the West Festival Club will be a new club added to the west side. This will take over the bottom floor of the Bill Moore Student Success Center and the part that connects to Bobby Dodd Stadium. Specifically, in the past, this has been the workroom for photographers in the stadium. Now it's being renovated and turned into an all-inclusive club space. So if that's something that interests you, you have that available. Other stuff, the suites are being renovated on the east side of the stadium. That entire club section is being renovated. That we talked about, the west side of the stadium's new club. The letter winners lounge, I believe, is also being renovated in the north end of the stadium. New video board, new speaker system. et cetera, et cetera. It will be, I mean, the summer, I guess the summer of 27, or the off season going into the 27 season, as I think when all of this
Yeah.
work is slated to happen.
Yeah,
So by
basically
the time
as
that
soon as
ball toe meets leather in September of 27,
yeah,
we'll have seen a lot of these improvements.
as soon as we do not have a scheduled football game in Bobby Dodd, so basically is if we don't make the playoff or anything like that, or if we don't have to host a playoff game, they're going to start construction as soon as they possibly can because you need it still is a lot of work that's got to get done. You got to gut a lot of rooms. You got if you don't want to run into unexpected situations, which who the hell knows with the stadium this old. So yeah, this is
Can't
going to
wait for
be
them to find the remnants of Heisman Gym in a new and different place that prevents them from finishing the locker room on time.
it'd be amazing if they found a remnant of that gym like 15 feet above where the ceiling was of that building. Just magically something floated up. I don't know.
Ooh, it's the hologram Heisman has moved the gym up
I'm
to a
sure.
higher level.
I don't
Spooky.
know. There might be some in that festival club area. The combination of hill, old stands, and building. That's
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something that's not on a schematic or an as built somewhere
There's
in
gonna
there.
there's gonna be a lot of visual representations of these many renovations it's had because the old stands are the first ones are still there. Like
Mhm.
if you know the right person to take you down there and show you around. I mean, the
Or
north
you can
stands are
just
still
watch
there,
any ESPN broadcast,
or
which
just
in which they mention it.
that there's photos of course and stuff like that, and then the west stands that got built on top of it. The Wardlaw part, which is the excavation of the horseshoe, when that existed, like there's just been so many different pieces of this that have been put together over time. So I like the spot it's getting to because I hope I this probably means because they'll have Fanning is a great spot that's actually finally has seats going into the stadium for one of the first times ever into that corner. And then you redo all the suites, you make the press box better, you integrate the stadium better with the Bill Moore building. Like in theory, this should be in good shape for a while here, which I know in stadium terms hasn't meant much, but this is a college stadium, so a little bit longer timetable probably. But yeah, this is nice. Unless the only thing I can even think of, they'd be like, hey, we got to change this, is if like the East stands show like serious structural integrity problems and whatnot, and then that requires a change there. But it's us. We shouldn't have built the stadium wrong with our school full of architects and engineers.
It wasn't built wrong. It was built appropriately.
Wrong.
Nothing is ever wrong. It's just early. I guess my final thought on this, I agree with Jake. It's like a surprisingly fan friendly thing, especially given like the stated goals of the athletic association to do as much revenue optimization as possible.
And the kind of selling of West Festival is like something anyone can access. But I think I was reading that season
Oh, it's gonna
passes
be a
for that are
pricey
like
point.
$2,000. Like that doesn't feel like something
Hey, that's it's
anyone can
the ticket
access.
cost is 250, but it's just a $2,000 donation to the athletic department.
I don't know that
Yeah,
uh, uh, it
you you
I don't
got to
know
eat a lot of
that's
you got to eat a lot of food to make it worth that. Well, you got
yep.
to eat. What's the hold on?
And
Let me look at.
some people will pay it, and good for Georgia Tech for finding that. It's just not my thing, you know.
They put a menu up as they put a sample menu: pork spare ribs, fried chicken wings, loaded nachos, cookies, cinnamon and roll, apple pie, beef, cheeseburger is okay. You know, honestly, we could do it a little bit better than cheeseburgers and fries and hot dogs. That's
For
just my two
2K,
cents.
yeah, yeah,
I
you
think
could,
now the pork spare ribs are good, but like I don't know. I
yeah.
feel like there's something more here. I feel like there's just a
Some of
little
it
bit.
is
Just
also like, I mean, some of this is also, hey, you have the suites, you have more suites now. So maybe those get opened up to, or like renovated suites now. So maybe those get opened up for more enterprise kind of opportunities
probably yeah. I think
and
they want
event
that. Yeah.
sales. So that like, do you need gourmet like Michelin star food for, having client meetings or schmoozing like some
You know, I say
organization
you're right.
schmoozing?
You're
Like,
right. I say this. I've been to the suites at Mercedes Benz, and often you end up eating just like chicken tenders and some mac and cheese. Like it's actually kind of the same food. So I retract my statement. Now, if it's a $20,000 suite, I better be getting some wagyu.
we can dream $20,000 for a single ticket.
Some
I
people have been
mean,
paying that to go to games around the U.S. this summer, so it's not out of the question apparently.
yeah, apparently. Gentlemen, I think we're a little light this week. Any other news and notes from around the
There was actually a
flats?
shockingly high number of news and notes. Jack, I don't know if you felt the same way pulling all this together. We
Wait, this is what happens when we take a week off. Is
That's
that
fair. That's
the
fair. It's a
world
lot of
doesn't
just stuff.
the world doesn't stop turning. I
Yeah.
know with women's basketball, we know they're going to play TCU and Indiana down in Fort Myers in the early part of the season, in the Fort Myers tip-off. So that may include Mississippi State, Kansas State, Villanova, LSU, and NC State as future opponents within that. We'll see where that goes. But at least we'll get some good stuff there. Uh, just minor things going on in terms of people. Megan Hill got promoted within the softball team. She was doing recruiting, but now she's got a more on-field role between defensive hitting strategies. Koisi Reeves got an Exhibit 10 contract with the Pacers, which is effectively like a think of it like a minor league, a super minor league contract, with no guarantees for NBA time. Reese Hunter, though, this is cool. She signed with the Atlanta Smoke, which I believe is a local professional softball team in the women's
Oh,
professional
I looked into
fast pitch
this.
league. This is really
The,
cool.
the fact that the NPSL has three teams called the Florida Blank, at least per the write-up on RamblinWreck.com, I was like, guys, is there another city we could mention? A direction?
Well, the thing
Something?
is, when you look up this league, when you look up Women's Professional Fast Pitch League, which I believe is what it's called, my understanding, at least based on this page on Wikipedia, is that this league has been defunct for at least 2 years, and is
Hmm.
making a comeback this year. Um,
Hmm.
and one of the franchises was originally, and the one that has played, I guess, won the most championships now, is used to be the Texas Smoke and is now relocated to Atlanta. I don't know. Like, it's unclear to me where they would be playing.
Well, because a lot of the teams that were in National Pro Fast Pitch, or I guess the one that still exists, i.e. the Chicago Bandits, uh, are in the Athletes Unlimited League. I actually the Blaze might have been around back then too. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say it so callously, but
Well, they have I mean, they have a schedule for this season, which is still happening, and there are home and away dates. Like they're playing, they do play in the city, and they have to they go out somewhere else. Like that's what is what it's listed as. So I'm trying to find out where these games actually happen, but uh, yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool.
So
hmm.
they do. I bet these are in like a neutral site. Like, it's a neutral site situation, like
Maybe.
the lacrosse league. Like, one of the two lacrosse leagues does this, where they play they're city associated teams,
Yeah, the
but
UFL
they
did that
all
too.
play like yeah, they all
Yeah.
play in a at a neutral site, like all their games, because it can see like, oh, oh no, this is home and away. Never mind, I'm talking on my butt.
Huh.
Um, because I'm looking at
Okay.
the same schedule graphic. There's a Chattanooga team, there's a Bradenton, Florida one, or two Bradenton, Florida teams. There's one in Kansas City. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. A lot of sponsors here. So
Yeah. Yeah. We've also played home games. I say we as if we're fans. They've played they played in Puerto Rico as well, so they're good. They're getting around.
I wonder if this is
Hmm.
just like, this league is a different name than what was on than what they it's posted. This is now getting way into the
Moving
weeds
on
about
to
a
golf.
league that we're
I was
not.
gonna say all I know is that the Chicago Bandits are back and it's a different league, and I don't know all the rest of the details. I'm sure we'll hear more. Even Wikipedia is challenging for these leagues at this point.
God, it's
So
summer if we're trying to figure stuff like this out. Um, Yeah, we have Ryan Hybel's got his first golf commits between freshmen and transfers in his era with the golf team. Carson Baez is one junior out of Richmond who is their best player, and they won the Atlantic 10 this past year, and he was the best player on their team, so that's a good pickup. He's got a couple years left. Max Emberson's the first freshman we've gotten from Ryan. He's from California. He's the number 13th ranked player for the incoming freshman class. So that's a good get. Andrew Fairwarn from Houston. He's a senior from North Alabama who's been playing at North Alabama. He comes in to get some seniority on the team. He did play in regionals with an individual bid. And then Henry Robards is the last. He's from Mercer. He's got 2 years left down from Ponte Vedra. So uh, the main job is, I guess, been complete. Find 2 to 4 players to fill in your roster. for an NCAA golf team and then go play golf. So good stuff from I will note the press release they put out is like the quotes they got were all like, "Oh yeah, I want to go play for Ryan. Oh yeah, I want to go play for Ryan." So that was a cool. I thought that was cool to see. Like, hey, yeah, he was definitely a important factor in this of like being a guy that these guys that these kids want to go play for. So uh,
Yeah, I think we said this when we talked about the hiring. It's like ultimately, what does a head golf coach do? And it's this, right? Especially in a highly individualized sport, like
yeah,
being the vibes guy, being the chief vibes coordinator on your team and setting these guys up for success is like I feel like that's the vast majority of the job there.
there's I mean,
If that's what
there
they're saying, then
there's some real golf coaching going on. Of course, like, you can't be out not knowledgeable in that. I mean, have some strategy and stuff like that. There's multiple facets to the golf coaching job, but it does lend itself a lot more to the setting yourself up for the future and kind of thing if you're not going to be a professional golfer, which the overwhelming majority of NCAA athletes will not go pro. The NCAA athletes would go pro in something other than sports, as the famous commercial said. So, uh, and then lastly, we've got Rock Perdoni. I don't know, Jake, if you had anything you want to mention about this too, but he passed away this past week. Our old one of our defensive linemen back from the '60s yeah, and then he was an All-American in 1970. So, uh, sad to see him go. He's very, very much one of the well-loved players from that era that I know the majority of our audience probably hasn't heard of before. But yeah, if you go back to '60s football, this guy was a legend for the team.
Yeah, one of 22 consensus All-Americans. I mean, that's straight out of the opening paragraph of the notes from RamblinWreck.com. But just an outsized impact in 2 years that he was here. Played as a pro in the CFL, and yeah, that wasn't here a long time, but had a certainly deep impact enough to be inducted to the Tech Hall of Fame too. So
Yeah, yeah. Then had a construction business, retired, lived here, like pretty idyllic tech career if you could have one between
yep,
having a good time at college, having a successful business career, and then just being able to retire well and have a family and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. So, uh,
yep,
yeah, definitely sad to lose him, but one of the greats, definitely one of the greats.
yep.
cool. Gentlemen, with that, anything else that we need to talk about today? I think I think we can call it a week. Mr. Grant,
I
would you
think
like to take
I
us
think
out?
we can. Yeah. As always, this podcast is brought to you by FromTheRumbleSeat.com. We'd love to hear from you. FromTheRumbleSeat@gmail.com. We got a couple weeks left of summer true doldrums here before we get into football, volleyball, and cross country and the like coming up this fall. So if you've got thoughts, things you want us to consider for the summer, let us know. You can find us on Twitter, Blue Sky. I'm at Blue Sky, Jake Grant 98. Jack's over there too. From the Rumble Seat is in a lot of places on the internet. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find Section 103 on Instagram as well at Section 103 or at section103.com. And you can find this podcast wherever podcasts are distributed. Until we speak again, good night, good luck, and go Jackets.